Hey friends, Patrick here. Um, I've been carrying around this Hubba Hubba backpacking tent for about 8 or 9 years, and the elastic that holds the poles together has kind of given out, and it doesn't really hold it anymore. So um, I've been on the last couple of trips with my daughter's scout troop, and everything held up fine once I got everything connected. But I need them to hold themselves together under their own weight again. So um, rather than ordering new poles or a new tent, I went to Amazon and purchased some shock cord. I got 60 feet of this. I got the 3/32 inch rather than the 1/8 inch, just to keep it a little bit lighter. And I'll put the calculations on the weight in the comments. But anyway, so here we go. Let's fix it up.
So the last couple of times I tried to repair a tent pole, the poles were a little more simple, and so this was my first lesson learned. I saw this divot in the poles, and I assumed that that was clamping the ends on. At first, I was a little frustrated. I took the pliers to it, and I found I wasn't able to pry the ends out of the pole. However, I took a more simple approach and realized that they're just screwed in. So just if you have these divots, don't break out the pliers, just unscrew the ends. The next lesson I learned was that it's not worth untying the knot in the old shock cord. I thought maybe I would save and do something with it, but I'm replacing it because it doesn't work anymore. So if you are watching this video and repairing your tent poles at the same time, go ahead and get yourself a pair of scissors and save yourself some grief. So the next bright idea I got was that I would tie the new shock cord to the old shock cord and I would pull it through and thought that would make it easier to thread. Well, pulling it through didn't quite work out as I had planned. I also realized that it's pretty easy to push the shock cord through one length of pole. So don't bother doing this, don't worry about it. When you detach your shock cord, just let it go, and then you can feed your new shock cord through. It's no big deal. These poles have this hub in the middle. So here I just pull the shock cord, the old shock cord out of the hub, and then I slide the new shock cord in through the two male ends. Unscrew the end from the other side and remove the existing shock cord. Friends, seriously, don't untie the knot. Just get scissors. Feed the new shock cord through the other side of the pole, one length at a time. It makes it really easy. I decided to attach the male end of the pole with a bowline. Feed the knot into the pole and screw the male end in. Go ahead and pull all the slack through all the poles, stick them all together, and then you'll set the tension. I pulled about 8 inches of slack out of this shock cord to give it a little bit of tension. It snapped on in kind of a satisfying way, And when I pulled it apart and then let go, I found that it pulled itself more or less together. And so that's about where I felt like it was best. I pulled a little bit more slack out, get a little more tension, and that's when the pole um, would fully slide into itself. I don't have a rule of thumb, but once you get it feeling right, then you can kind of tell that it's what you're looking for. Once I had that set, it was time to trim it and tie the male end onto the other end of this pole. By the way, shock cord is a lot easier to cut under tension, so I just put my knee on one end, stretch it, and give it a cut. I'm right-handed. That was easier. At this point, don't worry about what would happen if you accidentally let go of your shock cord. It's not ideal, but it's pretty easy to stretch. So you take off one section of pole, you stretch it as tight as you can, and then it's really easy to feed through, and you don't have to worry about it. I attached this male end with another bowline. I used the slip knot method of tying the bowline so that it's easy to slide on. I feed the working end through the slip knot, and then I collapse the slip knot over to make the bowline. Once that's tied, I just feed the knot into the pole, screw the pole end into the pole, and that's it. Fresh shot cord. The pole's working great. The tension is good. It collapses easily. Sorry, this video is out of focus. The attachment mechanism of the center hub is a little bit different. There's kind of a key that is embedded in there. It's not too hard to get out, and it's not too hard to replace. Uh, but seriously, don't untie the knots. Just use scissors. As you feed the two loose ends in, you can see that the key moves back and forth. Reach underneath or push from the top and just pry that key out while you push the ropes in or the shock cord in a little bit. Once you get it at just the right pressure, it should pop right out, and then you can take it off the shock cord. Take your new shock cord and feed it through the top of the hub. Slide the key onto it, and then feed the working end of the new shock cord back through. That's not hard to do. Give yourself a little extra slack. And if you need to, you can kind of pull the standing end of the shock cord while you push the working end, and it'll slide through without too much trouble at all. Feed the key into its original position while you pull the two pieces of shock cord. And there it is. It's in place. Secure your shock cord with a knot of your choice. Evidently, I learned to zoom. Tying a bowl in here, the same approach I used before. I just tie a slip knot, I feed the working end through, and then I collapse a slip knot over the working end to form my bowline. Pull it taut. I learned another lesson here. I was trying to feed the third piece of string into the hub. I tried to save an extra 4 inches of shock cord, and I tied my knot too short. So, uh, unfortunately, that was a minor setback. I had to untie the knot and remove the key. I gave it a couple of extra inches of slack, and then I retied my bowline. Feed this through. And now with this extra bit of distance, I should be able to bury this knot inside the pole and uh, and keep it out of the way. So I just tie my slip knot, feed the working in through, collapse it over itself, pull it taut. Now I'll be able to hide this knot inside the pole. For the next step, I went ahead and measured out the length of shot cord I thought I would need. I made sure to give myself a little bit of extra slack just in case. And then I cut it to length. Then I removed the old shot cord from the other end by feeding it in and then pulling the key out, pulling all the shot cord out, and then setting the key aside for later. Then you can feed the shot cord through individual sections of pole, just like you did before. And they feed through one at a time with very little trouble. Feed your shot cord through the top of the hub. Slide your key onto your shot cord just like before. Pull it a little tight so that you can pull the slack out to help you feed. This part was a little bit puzzling, but once I thought about it, it seemed pretty cut and dry. I just need to be able to tension this. So I grab the end that runs through the poles and I just start pulling the slack out until I got to a tension that felt right, like the poles held together um, or came together with sort of a satisfying click. Basically, I I pull the pole out, and when I let go of it, if it clicked together, I thought that was about where I wanted it to be. So I pull a little slack out, I pull them apart, and test that they return together with some authority. And if they didn't, I pulled more slack out. Once I had the tension set, I slid the key back down, feed the working end back through the top of the hub and into the awaiting pull. Pinch both pieces of the shock cord so that it won't let go and you'll be able to keep your tension. And then with the other hand, slide the pull out of the way and feed the key in. Obviously, this whole thing has to be done under tension now, unlike the other sides where you just had a working end. Now you have the entire other length of the pole under tension. But that's okay. Give it a pinch right at the opening of the pole. That holds it in place. You can start your slip knot. Don't forget to give yourself here a little extra slack because you want to be able to bury this knot inside the pole that goes on at the end of the hub. Feed the working end through your slip knot. Let it collapse over itself to form your bowline. Pull it taut, and the poles want to come together. You'll have a little extra shock cord that you don't need. Grab your scissors and trim off the excess. This tent has a crossbar in the middle, and replacing that's just like replacing the poles at the end. You see that I stopped untying knots and started using scissors. I can simply feed the new shock cord through individual sections of poles. Once that's fed through, I attach my end piece, tie it with a bowline, pull it taut, screw it in, set my tension, attach the other end piece, that's it. For good measure, might as well zoom through replacing the other end of the tent poles. As you can see, it's just, I used scissors, I cut the ends off, I ran the new shock cord through, tied on the end pieces, set the tension. No big deal. And that's it. that's how you replace the shock cord in your tent poles. I hope this gets your tent poles back up to snuff and in camp ready condition, like it did mine, and that you get a few more good years out of your expensive equipment. So, hope you enjoyed that. Take care.